Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's English session. So today we are going to use everything that we had a look at and gathered in our English session yesterday, and we're going to put it to good use to create our own persuasive leaflet. So what I want you to do is have a think about the features that stood out positively from yesterday's session that hopefully you jotted down somewhere to remind yourself of what you felt a good leaflet had. So pause the video and have a little reminder to flick back through. Okay, super. So hopefully you picked out some really good things like pictures, titles, directions, obviously information that you would have in an information leaflet. So now we're going to do things a little bit differently because usually in our nonfiction we have our shapes and we usually follow through because they follow through in an order. However, because we're doing a leaflet, it's slightly different because obviously all the information is all over the page. It doesn't go in one set order like an information text or something like that. So what I've done is instead of shapes, I've put sort of headings, I've put different coloured boxes. So what you're going to do is you are going to create your own leaflet, and I'm going to tell you what about in a minute. And what I want you to do is, because this is a guided one that we're going to try together, I want you to lay it out like it is on the screen. Now, towards the end of the week, in the beginning of next week, you will have a chance to create your own leaflet. So you can change up the layout and the things that are on it for then. But for today and tomorrow, we are going to go through step by step the same sort of structure and the same ideas so that you've had a practice before you go off to do your independent one, which is exactly what we do in school anyway. So I'm going to keep referring to this. I'm going to keep putting it back up, but this is the main gist of what we're going to do. So this is my page. Now you might decide you want a double page for this because you might have a lot of information to put on. You might decide you can fit it on a single page because remember, a leaflet is a short bit of information, and the leaflets that you looked at yesterday, it was short bursts of writing, not huge paragraphs. But some of them were double-sided, so you might want extra space. So you might want to do a double-sided one, or you might want to do a big A3-page double spread, and that is up to you. So we want the title of the thing that we are advertising, the place that we want people to come. In our red box, I've put a tagline or a question that draws people in. So sort of like a subheading that goes underneath that's going to still be quite a lot bigger than the rest of the writing. Maybe not as big as the title, but something that a catchy something that's going to make the reader think and to bring them in. Then we're going to have a big section with paragraphs with subheadings. So this is where the key information about our place would go. So for example, it was like in the Bristol leaflet yesterday, it had paragraphs of all the different places you could go in Bristol. It had subheadings and a little bit of information about each of those places. In things like the crocodile museum place, it had information about the different parts, and in the dinosaur world it had different sections of the actual place. So in this bit we're going to put our key information, like the bulk of our writing about the place that we're advertising. In the top corner we're going to have a picture of the place. You might want to draw it, or if you've got a printer at home you might want to print it out. Underneath that, we're going to give directions, really simple directions on how to get there. And maybe you can include a map. A map is optional. You don't have to have a map. But if you thought it looked good or it was useful in the other information leaflets, you can include a map. But we definitely want directions. Then we're going to have some opening hours and key dates of the place that we're advertising. So is it open all year round? Is it open on weekends, weekdays? What times is it open? Underneath that, we're going to put the prices. So how much it costs to visit there. And that's just really simple. And that's one of the ones that was on a lot of the leaflets from yesterday. And this one, which wasn't in many, but I think is really important, is some reviews. So some quotes from people about what they thought. And remember, we're keeping positive. We're persuading people to come to this place that we're advertising. So we're going to make it seem really amazing. So the reviews might be a little bit made up, but we're going to want to draw the reader in. We're going to want to get people to come and visit this place. Now, to start off really easy, we are going to leave the bulk of our writing for tomorrow. So we're going to write this leaflet in 2 parts. Today, we're going to do all the fiddly bits. So the title, the bits down the right-hand side. So it's really important that you section off or leave a section where you're going to be able to write your information tomorrow. So make sure you've got a big enough space where you can write paragraphs of information about the place that we're advertising. But today we're going to start off slow and easy with the little fiddly bits, the extras that go around the outside. So we're not going to do any big bulk of writing today. So it shouldn't be too difficult to get into the hang of it. Okay, so you probably wonder what we're going to advertise for today. And as we are going on to advertise Camp Green Lake a little bit later on, and Camp Green Lake is somewhere difficult to try and advertise, I've chosen somewhere a little bit strange because I want you to really think about how you can use persuasive language to draw people in and how you can use your vocabulary to make something seem really good and amazing when it's pretty ordinary. So we're not going to write a leaflet about a dinosaur world or a reptile world. We are going to write a leaflet about Tesco, or Big Tesco, as lots of people like to call it. Now, you might think this is strange, but Tesco is probably something that a lot of you go to normally. It's very ordinary, but this is where it's going to test your persuasive skills because you need to persuade me that Big Tesco at the Willowbrook Centre in Bradley Stoke is the best Tesco ever. It's the best place that you could go. You shouldn't go to any other shops. You should come to Tesco. So you need to really think about what you're going to write and how you're going to write it and the words you're going to use to persuade me to think that actually Big Tesco is amazing. Maybe I already think it is, but maybe somebody else doesn't. So your leaflet today and tomorrow, because we're going to write it in 2 parts, is on Tesco. So hopefully we can have a bit of fun with it as well because we can exaggerate and make things up. So the first thing we need to do is create a title. Now you can do it in fancy font, you can do it in colour, you can do it however you like, but you need to make it clear that this leaflet is for Big Tesco in Bradley Stoke. How you write that is up to you. I've literally written Big Tesco Willowbrook. You might just write Big Tesco. You might write it in a different way. So pause the video and put your title in place and then come back when you are happy with it, the size, the colour, the font of it. So come back when you're ready. Okay, so we've got our title. The next thing we're going to have a look at is this tagline that's going to go underneath. Now remember, you want this to draw the reader in, so you still want it to be in a big font, not bigger than the title, but bigger than the font that you're going to write your paragraphs in. So this is where you want a question for the reader or you want a statement to draw the reader in. Now I've written, where else would you need to shop? That's pretty boring and bland. I'm sure you can think of something else. But all you want is one sentence or a couple of sentences that's going to draw the reader in to read your leaflet. And you're going to write those in fancy font, in colour, however you like, underneath the title. So pause the video and when you're ready, come back. Okay, so we should have a title and a tagline so far. The next thing I want you to do is your picture, and I want it to be in the top right-hand corner of your page. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a printer at home and you would like to print out a picture of the place of Tesco, you can. If you don't have a printer or you'd prefer to draw it, then I want you to draw. It might just be a picture of the actual Tesco. It might be a picture of Tesco from the road. It might be a picture of the sign for Tesco, so the actual logo of it. But I want you to fill as big a space as you think is appropriate with the picture, add some colour, and then come back when you're ready. Okay, on to the next thing then. So now we're going to skip down to here at the bottom, and I want you to write some reviews. Now I've written one review to just give you an example, but you might want to include different quotes. So you might want to have just one, but the more reviews you have, the more persuasive your piece is going to be. It's going to be more believable. So you might want 2 or 3. Don't put like 10 because it's going to be hard to read all of them, but you want a good amount of reviews. Now remember, I'm sure that lots of people love Tesco, but you want to make it sound really exciting. So for example, somebody named Dorothy, who's 103, said she'd never shop anywhere else. Okay, and that's going to bring shoppers in. So in this section down on your page, wherever that is spaced to in your book, I want you to write one review, a couple of reviews, and sort of box them off, draw a shape around it, however you want to make it work for you. So pause the video and come back once you've done that. Okay, so we've got reviews, we've got pictures. The next thing I want you to do is the directions and the map. Now, again, you could get a map off of Google and print it off if you've got a printer. You could draw a map of it. If you think actually you don't want a map, then you can just write some directions. Now, you want really basic directions. What I would suggest is that you have a look at some of the example leaflets from yesterday and look at how they wrote their directions, and you can sort of model yours the same. So you just want basic step-by-step where you can vaguely get to Tesco, really. And like I said, if you want to include a map, you can as well. So pause the video and have a go at filling that bit in on your page, and then come back when you are ready. Okay, we've only got 2 little fiddly bits to do. So we are going to look at the admission price. Now, obviously, you don't pay to go into Tesco, so it's actually free entry, which might be something that can persuade people to come. You don't have to pay, it's free, so you can make it seem really good that it's free. But obviously, you do need to pay for stuff when you're there. So you want to include that. So you don't want to make it seem like everything's free. It's free to get in, which is a good thing. But you do need to pay for things once you get in there. So it's like optional charges. So you want to make that clear in that box. The second thing that I want you to do, sort of 2 in 1, is the opening hours and key dates box, because you are going to need to use the internet to do that. If you just look up Tesco Willowbrook opening hours, then it will tell you the days and the times that it's open. So that's not information you're making up from your head. That's key information you can find on the internet. So what I want you to do is have a go at doing those 2 final boxes and pause the video and then come back when you are ready. Okay, so well done. That is all we are going to do today. So you've got all the fiddly bits out the way. Tomorrow, I want you to come back and we are going to look at writing the actual chunks of our text in that big box, big space that you left on your leaflet. Now, it's not a lot of writing. We know that because we looked at leaflets yesterday. It's key information. You don't want to put loads of writing because you don't want to bore whoever's reading it. But all we're going to do tomorrow is write those mini paragraphs. And don't worry, because I will help and I will do some model sentences and write along with you, okay? So if you still need a bit of time just to prettify up what you've done already, then you can continue to do that. If you're ready and raring to go for tomorrow's lesson and you've just got that space for the paragraphs, then you are all done for today. And I will see you back here tomorrow to finish off that rest of the leaflet.